So hello and welcome to Beauty as Fast TV. I'm Ritu Jha, and we are today most honored to have with us Aston Lafon. He is the Director of Brand and Sales at 18.21 Manmade. And of course, he's the co-founder as well. So, and whilst we are talking about Aston, there are so many aspects that we can go on about, but I'll pick up a few and tell you quickly. So Aston is Director of Brand and Sales, and he also has an array of roles within the company, which include sales, branding, marketing, educational programs, social media, product development, and working with distributors and building positive personal relationships. Aston believes that developing relationships is the key. He says, and I quote, "Style coaching and retail goods are a major part of earning retention and referrals. So it's important for us to always support those service providers with uncommon goods and strategies to grow their business." And we'll soon be talking about how he's developed these strategies. He's being entrepreneurial at a young age. He created a product called Color Off, which was represented by great distributors, including Beauty Systems Pro, Sally Beauty, etc. in the US. The Color Off business was later acquired by American International Industries. Aston met his current business partner and master hairstylist Angel del Solar. Correct me if I'm wrong in pronouncing his name.
You're good, Ritu. Yeah.
Working at Enjoy Professionals Hair Care, the two later collaborated to launch Credible Culture, where they designed an educational system called Beast Mode Hair Lab and distributed luxury goods such as Garrett and Markinson's Reverie and Verb to the top tier of the region's salon businesses. And then they noticed a gap in the market. And they noticed, of course, the gap was in the area of men's grooming. And they got together to launch 18.21 Manmade. So that is in 2014, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, 2014. I can't believe it's 2021 now. It went by so fast.
Yeah, time flies. So, so welcome to Beauty as Fast TV, Aston Lafon. We are really honored to have you with us today. And so in India, you're being distributed by imported, and your importer, distributor, and marketers are, of course, Misha Impex, and your digital partners are Argus CMPO. And we saw the launch the other day. So looks like a very promising brand for a market much in need for a variety of men's grooming products. We will, of course, start with Aston about how you picked up the name, because the name is pretty unusual for a men's grooming brand. And do tell us what took you to create this brand in the first place, and then we'll discuss that.
I like unusual. We were like, what is the most unusual name we could come up with? And that was it. No, I'm just joking. But I want to first at least say thank you, Ritu. I appreciate your time and just helping introduce our brand to your listeners, to your followers, to your readers. I'm really grateful for that, and I hope that when they discover it, that they enjoyed it and that it helps them look and feel their best. So thank you very much. Yeah, so before I just kind of get into what the 1821 stands for, there's a bit of a precursor that's worth mentioning, and that really is just that as the three co-founders of the brand, myself, Angel, and his brother David, I mean, we're all gentlemen ourselves, and we really felt that men deserved a collection of grooming products and lifestyle wisdom that felt more premium, it felt elevated, it felt special, it supported their finer tastes, their gentlemanly aspirations, and ultimately would be a product that is three gents who have a history in pro beauty that we could craft well enough so that we could earn the professionals' authority, and that they would lend their authority to their customers, and that would help elevate their customers' grooming experience in the chair, and also maybe create some new revenues for their business, and pair that with some great training. But we felt as we looked at the men's landscape that a lot of the products for the gentlemen, they all kind of felt and looked the same. They just seemed to be lumped into this similar category. You know, we saw similar packaging and scents and messaging, and all of it just seemed kind of uninspired and lacked richness. And we actually talked about this, where we felt like there was some sort of unspoken prohibition on men's products where they had to be a certain way. And we really wanted to end that prohibition by doing something special for gentlemen. And so this theme of prohibition kept running through our conversations, and ultimately, you know, we established a few characteristics for the brand. We felt that it had to be instinctively masculine. If it said for men, it probably wasn't ideally for men. It wasn't doing a good job of being for men. And scent profile was really important to us, and then also performance, as I mentioned, for the professionals and also consumers. But to focus on the packaging for a moment, that's really where that idea of prohibition comes through. If you've seen the brand, you might see that the whiskey flasks and whiskey fifths and beer cans, or maybe some of the tobacco scented or speakeasy inspired scents, these are really a nod to prohibition. So we were inspired by this spirit of prohibition era bootleggers, you know, those rule breakers in the early 1900s, that when alcohol was banned, sales and distribution of alcohol was banned in the US with the 18th Amendment, that they kept going, they persevered, they kept people, there was a demand for alcohol, people wanted to drink and enjoy the libations, and so those rule breakers made that happen. And we felt like as we were making a product, we were going really against the rules, against the prohibition that had been established for these men's grooming products. And so that comes through in our boozy aesthetic. But the namesake of 1821 is an homage to the Prohibition era amendments that bookended the beginning and end of the US Prohibition. So the 18th Amendment and the 21st Amendment. And that experiment, which failed, is commonly referred to as the Noble Experiment. So you'll even see in our badges, like we sometimes have these tiny little hidden nods to that era, things like a Noble Experiment. So, but yeah, it's an homage to the Prohibition amendments.
That's amazing. I think it's very well thought out. And of course, the whole concept, I was going through your deck, and I feel that, you know, the concept is definitely unique, and it still is unique, despite the fact that we do have a few, you know, lines of exclusively men grooming products on the market, but it stands out for sure. So I would next like to know from you, Aston, as to what is your current presence looking like, you know, across various countries, and the distribution networks that your brand has utilized. And of course, given that we've just coming out, or hopefully coming out of COVID, you know, the online has become extremely, extremely crucial for all the brands. So do tell us about your distribution.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as I mentioned at the front here, you know, we're a brand that has origins within the professional beauty industry. That's where our roots are. That's where we started. And that's where we continue to grow, but that's not the only vertical that we exist within. So 1821 is a brand. We live in the world of professional beauty. We also live with e-com partners, whether that be Amazon's luxury beauty platform, or our own D2C, or some of our brick and mortar customers that also have D2C platforms. And you also find us in premium retail in the States, places like US, maybe in Europe, places like Douglas. I know we're working with some relationships there in India to establish there. That's all pretty new. And then there's really just the rest of it is kind of, you know, really lumped into, you know, international. What are we doing internationally? And so at the moment, we're currently in about 14 countries. Mm-hmm. And we've, within the past year and a half, achieved our registration and our so that we can expand into the Canadian market and into the European Union. And so, and obviously, it's taken us a good maybe year and a half to work to get our business established there in India. So we're very grateful for that. COVID has definitely created a slowdown with respect to our international growth with just the nature of shipping opportunities and things like that, experiencing delays, and obviously people experiencing second and third waves of COVID. I know we've experienced that here ourselves. I know you've experienced that too. And when we, it's easy as a business to think, oh, things are slowing down a bit, or our planning rather, but really for us, the concern is just that people can stay healthy and be prosperous and really kind of get through what is a challenging time for all of humanity. And so we're just kind of staying in good communication with our international prospects. We have the opportunity to potentially get to as many as maybe open or establish maybe 30 countries by the end of next year, which would be wonderful. But there's a good, strong demand for the brand in many places around the world. It's just kind of navigating the challenges with COVID so that we can start working with these partners. And one last thing that's worth mentioning is maybe how 1821 or how our customers were maybe impacted with COVID. In that March of, I guess, was it 2019 now? Wow. When everything really shut down, we found ourselves where 75–80% of our business, our customers, had to close their doors. And so, we found ourselves really with a website, an 1821manmade.com website, our own D2C platform that was a very small piece of our business, about maybe 6% of our business. And we really had a lot of thoughts and aspirations and wishes for how we could support customers directly. And so we really focused on that during that downtime, and we're able to really grow that business to where it's now, equal with our other selling verticals. So everything is about kind of 25%, 26% each channel. So so there was some obviously some positives and some negatives, but we're just kind of pushing forward and hoping that we can earn new customers.
So which distribution channel has worked best for you? Is it the professional or?
Yeah, definitely professional is one that continues to grow consistently and strong. It's the channel that just I feel like know the best. And a lot of that comes from how we maybe support these professionals, whether it be a barber or a stylist, and obviously their clients with technical education, business acumen, strategies to help improve their services or grow their business. And so we have a really good infrastructure for that. And so professional just continues to grow. Now, obviously, again, with this COVID, it is a bit like surfing, because at the moment, a lot of the salons are experiencing closures where maybe D2C is open and e-com platforms. And so it's a bit like riding waves and surfing, and just trying to give the best amount of support to each channel that we can. So ultimately, if I look at the business right now, each kind of selling vertical seems to be performing about equally. But it'll be interesting to kind of see how, as everything opens up again, what could grow more versus the other. And for us, the professional has always been the one that experiences the strongest and quickest growth. Actually,
in India as well, the salons, the retail aspect in salons was pretty low, I must say. But with the COVID reality hitting you so hard, I think each and every one of them was still, up and about. I think they've woken up to the whole prospect of, retailing of products, which was not so much earlier. And so moving on, we would be very keen to understand what your top sellers are, and is there any particular age group that you had in mind when you were starting the brand, and has the experience changed or it's remained the same?
Yeah, I'll talk about that first. When we're designing a product or envisioning a concept, I think we like to think about our muse. Who are we ultimately designing for, knowing that ideally that's not just the person who might enjoy the product or be gifted the product or buy it for themselves. There's such a 1821 is a brand that's we talk a lot about offering goods for the aspiring gentleman, but it's a brand that's beloved by many men, women, sons, fathers, grandfathers. It's a really broad, diverse mix of people.
Sure.
And when we're designing, we think about our muse, really, which is maybe somebody like Idris Elba or Matthew McConaughey or Ranveer Singh, or these kind of gentlemen that have a good mix of rough and refined. And they're, I think, typically probably in the age bracket of maybe 30 to 55. But I think many young men are trying to appear more mature, whereas a more mature man is experienced and maybe accomplished things and maybe trying to live a more youthful lifestyle. And so for us, age is really just a number. It's, we see again that our product is enjoyed and by many different generations of men. And so ultimately, I think it even breaks down to, maybe in which, selling platforms that they're available, whereas we might see men that kind of 30 to 55 really spending time in a premium barbershop or premium salon, and spending a little more on themselves with their grooming habits and rituals and products. Or maybe a younger person who spends a lot of time on social media, who's kind of becoming aware of these grooming trends and is maybe purchasing those on a digital platform. And so it's a bit different for, I think, where those people are discovering it and how they're finding their inspiration. But ultimately, we see that it's a really wide age group and diverse group of people. Now, one of the top sellers, that's a super easy one. Man-made wash is our top seller. Now, that's a product that looks like a premium whiskey, right? But ultimately, it is a shampoo and conditioner for the beard, hair, and body. It's a sulfate-free, paraben-free product, gentle cleansing, lightweight conditioning, something that anyone can use just from head to toe to get a nice soft cleansing that won't dry out their skin, a nice conditioning that won't leave their hair or skin feeling greasy or weighted. And we have 4 really signature scents from 1821, whether that's the sweet tobacco, the spiced vanilla, the noble oud, or absent mahogany. And so that's a product that is really our top seller, and that how a lot of people get introduced to the brand. But there are plenty of others, like, for example, our styling products, our clay, our paste. Clay being a product that thickens the hair with no shine, just creates a nice rough texture, great for finer thinning hair. A lot of us gentlemen have finer thinning hair, so it can be really helpful for us, or absorbing oil, or like a paste, which is a really simple product that you can apply to your wet hair just to blow dry and shape and detail. Or we also find that our hairspray is really popular with anybody who just wants their hairstyle to last all day. And it looks like an old beer can, which is pretty fun. And then we've just released an oil that looks like a vintage motor oil can, and it's got a lot of uses: beard, hair, skin, tattoo, and then also our perfume, our fragrance, sweet tobacco spirits is almost cultishly popular. So yeah, we have some really strong items, and when we make these items, we really try to think about having an item that is extremely purposeful and multitasking and highly functional and beautiful and aesthetic and scent. And so, as I've worked for many brands in the past, and a lot of the times you kind of find yourself where you have 30 to 40 products, and 5 of them are great and 8 of them are really good, and the rest of them are like just there. And so, for us, we really work hard to make sure that every product we have is a great product. And so ultimately we kind of end up with that a lot of our products, people really find being great for them.
Awesome. So, I'm very curious about the fact that, we are living in a increasingly gender neutral world, and how does your brand then redefine and renew itself to, kind of become more contemporary, perhaps, if I may call it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as I mentioned in my last kind of answer there, there's 1821. Ultimately, it is a brand that's beloved by many. We find that when we design, we're designing for our muse, we're designing for men, and ultimately, what we find that is that there are just so many different people that can identify with that as being something that's good for themselves or potentially good for someone else. And so, as a brand, we see that we speak with inclusivity, we speak with purpose. We do not speak to alienate. We exist to basically celebrate and empower, and that reaches beyond men. As a brand, we purposefully wanted the brand to be tasteful and to not come across as some sort of tacky way of pushing men's characteristics on anyone, right? And so all men are different, all people are different. We love when we hear that from women that they love to use the clay in their pixie haircut, or their husband purchased the man-made wash and they started using it in the shower and they love the scent, or there's just so many different types of people. And so 1821 is a brand that when we design a product, we design it for with a tasteful sense of masculinity, knowing that it's not just a man that will be attracted to that, right? And so when we come up with any concept, we're conscious of that. We're conscious of trying to make sure that even though the brand is designed for men, that it is in a sense kind of genderless. And so what we see is women buying it for themselves, women buying it for men buying it for men buying it for themselves, and so I think we've done a good job of having it be for him, but also for everyone. It's a balance that we're conscious of.
Given that you have salons as a major part of your distribution channel, there is a tendency, especially in India, more so, that if you're a retail brand and you're not exclusively for salons, there's a certain degree of they're not easily convinced about keeping the brand in the salon, although that's of course changing. So how do you tackle that?
Yeah, I think we tackle it by not tackling it, which is no. I mean, in our history, myself and Angel in particular, he has 30 plus experience in pro beauty. I have 25-ish years in pro beauty, and in different capacities. Whether it be salon ownership or being creative or technical directors for salon chains or your own salons, or big manufacturers, or just supporting salons with business and technical education and strategies to help them grow and create new service dollars or new retail revenues or better retention or referrals or those kinds of strategies. We incorporate that heavily into everything that we do to support pro beauty. And we find obviously that for a lot of professionals, they treat their salon as a business, and they think a lot about what they're offering for their customers, and they back that with high levels of service and talent, and continue to evolve and grow. And then there's some that lack that, and so we exist as a brand to help those who lack it, and then also maybe have learned enough to where maybe we can help somebody who's at the pinnacle at the top even improve. So we're always learning, we're never complacent. But with respect to consumers, the landscape is changing. 15, 20 years ago, when I was working for other manufacturers, and you would, visit a salon or a barbershop and introduce them to a brand that you felt like their customers would love, that exclusivity was very important to them. And I think just with the introduction of e-shopping and social media, a lot has changed. And a few things that have really changed is just we think it's very important that the professional can continue to maintain their authority as a professional, because now we live in a time whereas, if a professional does not take the opportunity to coach their guest in how they styled their hair, what product they used, what brush they used, which direction they combed it in, and actually teach them and coach them how to create that look, that consumer will get home. They'll get in the shower, wash their great haircut, wash their great style right out of the hair. And when they're in the mirror, not know how to style their hair because no one showed them, even though they've got a great haircut. And it looked great when they left the salon or barbershop. And now they go to social media, they go to Instagram, and they look to non-professionals to learn how to style their hair and which products to use and which tools to use. And they're then taking that knowledge back to their professional and going, can you do my hair like this? Well, that's not a professional. And so, for us, it's important. We're trying to teach strategies that help people really do their part and engage with that consumer, because that is really where the disconnect happens. The disconnect isn't that a salon has a more superior product than a grocery store, or a more exotic or different product than a grocery store. Where the salon is going to be able to keep that customer's business, keep their retail dollars in their business, is when they spend the time to coach that guest and really show them, how they addressed their concerns, how they created their aspirations, which tools they used to style that hair, whether it be a product or a brush or dryer, and give them the opportunity to take that home with them. And that could be a product like 1821 or another brand that the salon offers. But ultimately, that's where the value is created. And so what you'll find, I think, now that's different is, brands and consumers, consumers have basically demanded over the past 15 years that, look, we want access to things. And brands have really come up with even unique programs to where salons can earn commissions on e-com sales and distributors and things like that. But you're really seeing this kind of separation of shopping among consumers, where the reality really is just that some consumers want to shop from their professional stylist. They appreciate their authority and their recommendation, and they act on that. Some never get offered that opportunity or are closed-minded to that opportunity and just want to shop online or at their grocery store or at another brand. And so it's really the consumer that's making these choices, and it's up to the professional channel, it's up to the manufacturers to offer good support, but to really do your best to win that customer, because the customer has a lot of choices now. So it really means that you have to do better, honestly, to earn their business.
Awesome. Yeah, I agree completely with that one, because salons have now it's become like a duty to advise on offer a variety of products. So
yeah,
we have Rachit joining in.
The thing that that can happen, Ritu, which I see so often, is when a professional service provider does an amazing haircut and they create this like wonderful style that matches exactly what the customer wanted, and they don't show them how to do it. And then they get to the end and they go, hey, would you like any products? And they go, no, I'm okay. They maybe didn't even know that you used products or a certain brush. So that education really helps persuade them and have them get a good understanding of how they can look that way when they're not in the salon.
Yeah, so I would like to interrupt here and welcome Rachit Malhotra. Rachit, can you hear me?
Hi Ritu, how are you?
I'm very well, and I would like to introduce you to Aston Lafon.
Hi Aston.
Hello Rachit, how are you?
Absolutely great. It was nice to connect to you.
Perfect. Likewise,
So
absolutely.
Quickly introduce you, Rachit. Rachit is the creative director and owner of Femina Plus Salons and Spas, a chain of salons in the state of Punjab and in and around the capital city, Chandigarh. And he's a gifted creative designer and educator who strives to inspire creativity and expand people's knowledge of art, design, and the salon business. He loves traveling and mentoring. And as an entrepreneur, he has established 4 very high-class salons, and recently he launched the Femina Plus Luxe, the first of the luxury line that they have launched. He employs over 100 plus staff, and he's a creative ambassador for Northern India for Schwarzkopf Professional. Am I right, Rachit, or are there any updates there?
I think it's more than that.
And a wheat team member at Wall India. So welcome to Beauty as Fast TV, Rachit. It's very nice to have you with us.
Same here, man. Likewise.
It's a good thing that you just joined it at the right moment. We were just discussing about 18.21 man-made and how
Yes.
it's sold through salons. And I was just telling Aston that in India, there's always this reservation that if it's a brand, it's sold in retail and it's not exclusively salon, then, some of the salon owners have a little bit of hesitation keeping the brand in store. So, maybe you could join the conversation here. I have a few questions left for Aston, which I can ask later.
Sure. You go ahead, then I'll join in between.
Okay, so I'll just continue. Okay, Aston, I'll go back to you. I just wanted to quickly tell me about the New World Natural Brands, the takeover, and what does this partnership mean for Man-Made 1821?
Yeah, 1821. I believe this is our 7th year in business. We technically launched the brand in May of 2014. So yeah, that went by really, really fast. And there's maybe a year and a half before that where you're kind of coming up with ideas and developing concepts and products and this and that. And so, people look at maybe the success of the brand and where they see the brand or the quality of the products, and they say, they make the assumptions, for us, this was extremely difficult journey. We like to say that it was almost impossible. But, our Rachit, I'm sure you can relate, is a business owner. And there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of challenges and successes along the way. But it's really challenging. And we've always had, great aspirations for our brand and what we would like it to accomplish for our customers, whether that's a pro beauty customer or a consumer. And so, but along the way, we had a lot of lost opportunities because we maybe didn't have the resources to support those, or some of the knowledge or prowess to make decisions that could have helped us grow faster or more efficiently or things like that. And so we kind of realized, I want to say maybe like four years into the business, that we really needed a lot of help, and we didn't have all the answers for that. And we were meeting with, private equity or investors and things like that. And a lot of the times maybe cash resources were available, but for us, that wasn't the solution. We really needed a lot of help beyond that. Because as a business, we again had so much opportunity that we just could not facilitate. And so we started to look for somebody that we felt like could help us with that infrastructure and resources, whether it be human or capital or whatnot. And we were exhibiting at a trade show. And a gentleman named Tom Ryan came up to the booth and introduced himself, and we hit it off, and we're just having a great conversation. And Tom was from New World Natural Brands, and they mentioned that they had a really high standards for adding brands to their portfolio, and mentioned what they were looking for in a brand, and what they could offer these brands. And at the same time, we were telling him our challenges and concerns and wishes and aspirations. And through that conversation and a couple more that followed, I think we realized that we were a really good match for each other. And so what we did about maybe two and a half years ago is we sold the business. So we sold 1821 to New World Natural Brands, and that makes us part of a great portfolio of brands, whether it be 1821 or a brand called Bay, another brand called Suki. These are more cosmetics brands that speak directly to the female consumer versus 1821. But yeah, since we have done that, the business has grown by a multiple of 4 to 5. And we're seeing all of these things that were taking us so much time to try to get through or accomplish, and sometimes seems like they would never happen, actually happen, and seeing the business grow. And we're seeing, just the amount of, each of us co-founders, when we started, each of us has 8, 9, 10 different jobs. And by default, you can only work so much, and you can only work so much and do a good job. And so like things would suffer. And so now we have this great team around us that supporting our goals and working as one. That's really given us an opportunity to think a lot about our customers and how we support them, and our brand and what it stands for and its purpose, and its, as a house, what does it mean, and what does it do? And we've had all of these improvements and growth as a result. And, as co-founders, we're very happy with the decision. It puts us in a positive position as stakeholders in New World and in 1821, and also in the other brands as well. And so it really gave us an opportunity to work with a great team and to grow the brand. So we're seeing all these little things that we envisioned for so long actually come true now, which is fantastic.
So one question that I have for everybody is, your quick lessons from the COVID-19 crisis that we have faced. It's unprecedented for our generation of, our and last also, I think, because the last pandemic which happened is almost forgotten. So what were the quick lessons? And then we can go on to Rachit. After that, you'll have to quickly tell me about your plans for India, of course, that we can talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I kind of alluded a little bit earlier to that. When the pandemic hit, our large customers, which were all really pro beauty and a couple retail, were closed. Everyone was closed. And so you kind of get into this more kind of human nature versus business, where you're really just trying to connect with your colleagues and your customers on a level that's, are you okay? Are we going to be okay? And nobody had the answers. And at the same time that you've got this kind of juxtaposition where, you have a business and the business has goals, and obviously you want to, as a business, we feel that we exist, again, to kind of help people look and feel their best. So we want to keep that going as well. And so really what it did for us is it forced us to slow down and just really take a look at everything that we were putting out as a brand, whether it be product or messaging or the platforms that we existed on, and gave us time to kind of slow down to speed up, if that makes sense. We really revisited everything. I think it made us closer with a lot of our relationships, even though the purchasing went away for a little bit. It became this more collaborative effort to kind of rebuild each other. But ultimately, we utilized that downtime and actually grew within it. And so, we found that, again, our pro beauty customers were closed. We stayed in close contact with them. And as they started to reopen, we had some newer strategies. We had some new learnings that we could share with them. And obviously, you're reopening into a world of, different restrictions with respect to, mask and service protocols and things like that due to the virus. And so, I think it really strengthened a lot of those collaborations and relationships through that hardship. But then also we saw, our direct to consumer platform really grow, because those customers didn't have anywhere that they could purchase their grooming products from that they loved. And so, but we really focused on making improvements there. And so I think it was really just a lot of learning and collaborating and kind of reinventing, and ultimately it helped the brand and how we support our customers, really.
So before we go back to Rachit, what are your plans for India? Anything that you've got, any targets, any kind of, milestones that you'll want to look at for the next year?
Yeah, that's still a pretty, it's still obviously a work in progress, because some of those goals are a bit fluid, with the impact of COVID. And so I know there's a great deal of pro beauty business, whether it be, a chain of salons or barbershops or those those single locations that somebody's maybe owned forever or just starting. And so, there's a focus on that. There's also a focus on making sure that that we can have some presence on some e-commerce platforms, and then also in some retail environments. But COVID is really keeping things fluid. Is it's still affecting whether or not people can be open or closed. And so I will say that so maybe the next time we speak we can have better information for you. But India as a market, as a people, as a culture, is something that is really, beloved around the world. And so for us, trying to introduce our brand into your rich history is an honor. But one thing that is important to us as we work with Argus and Misha Impex is that we can really have an evolution of the brand. Because we think it's a brand that we're seeing can really resonate with the Indian gentleman and people that buy for him. And so so you'll see that that's a big goal for us, is that we can really work together with our Indian partners and give the brand that kind of unique to Indian culture spin and taste. So I think that's something I'm really looking forward to.
That makes a lot of sense, and we wish you all the best for that journey, Aston.
Thank you.
So Rachit, now, so you can come and you can talk to Aston, tell him about what your experience has been with Men Grooming and what you expect from any brand that's entering the market. Love to hear that conversation.
I think beard is now a signature for everyone. Gone are the days when people used to have like clean shaves, and it's like these days it's more like a style statement, and different kind of versatilities of beard styles have come up. People wish they want to have a different experiment, and so the need for the beard products is definitely there in the market, because many people doesn't know how to style the beard. Am I right, Aston?
Yeah, I think you're 100% right, Rachit. We see, obviously, I think beard care for people who decided I'm going to grow a beard over the past so many years and really paid attention to how to nurture it and nourish it and maintain it. Have these beard aficionados, they've been there for a little bit. And now it seems to obviously be more accepted, kind of like tattoos. And so, like there was a time when you had to cover up your tattoos at work and you had to be clean shaven. Now you can have a beard. Now you can show your tattoos. It's more culturally acceptable. So so care becomes part of that. And now we're seeing men. Rachit, you're probably doing services where you're blow drying someone's beard and shaping it. And
definitely. Even beard spas are the latest concept these days. So that's the pretty thing, and people don't know. They think the head hair and the beard hair is the same. Sometimes they don't know the beard hair is more coarser, so it becomes more itchier. So what do you have something when you think beard stops itching? Because when they're growing it, it's a question to you. Like when do you think the beard stops itching?
I think it has to do right around where it starts to detach from the face. That's a pretty big obstacle to get through. and we have two products that we feel like help through that journey. And obviously too, this is goes back to the value of the professional. If a man is growing a beard and he goes to the salon and he's kind of doing this, the professional can give him that insight to, hey, when this detaches from your face, it's going to get a little easier. Just be patient. And here's a nice oil that you can massage into your skin that'll help it keep it from, the acne developing, or the oil drying up and flaking, or reduce the itchiness and calm the irritation and those kinds of things, and help shape it and nourish it, because a beard seems like it just grows out of your face, which it does. But to make it look really good and to make it feel really good, it needs support, it needs nourishment, and it needs help. So but it needs to get off your face, and then it gets less itchy.
Yeah. When do you think, people, when the beard turns white, how you feel like the beard is turning white? What do you feel like? What do you have in mind? How to convey to the people? What products do you have? These are the random questions people have. Yeah.
I just I try to do the best me and embrace it. If my wife was like, "Hey, your beard is too white," well, then I might think about doing something different. But I think it's obviously, during consultation, right? It's you kind of find out, what are the concerns that your customer might have in the chair, or what are the things that they love about their style, or maybe they don't like about their style. And definitely for men, it's a lot of the time, fine hair, thinning hair, gray hair, gray coverage, things like that. Definitely, I always think that ultimately things that kind of look more natural are things that kind of go unnoticed by others, and typically people feel less self-conscious about, if you have a fully gray beard and then all of a sudden you have a very dark beard, that's very obvious. But, if you're kind of maybe slowly using a product for hair coloring, the beard or hair with, maybe 60 to 80% coverage, and you visit a professional like Rachit and he applies it in a certain way that looks more natural, and over time it gradually goes back, then it's probably going to be more comfortable for the gentleman and more well received by his peers. But yeah, I'm all for, ultimately services that help someone look and feel their best. So, if you have someone in your chair and you're talking about the haircut, you should also be talking about what skincare they use and their eyebrows and their facial hair, and maybe hair that's protruding from their nostrils that you've noticed, or from their earlobes, or these are all things that can really help clean somebody up and polish them. Yeah. The Indian gentleman is known for being one that is very polished and well groomed and very handsome. So yeah, I feel like you know more than I do about this.
Rachit, you would be having a lot of customers with beard issues, and
Yeah.
the whole culture of growing beards in that.
Yeah. Absolutely. So one of the major question is, some people want to grow the beard, but they are unable to grow the beard. They feel, the beard is not growing. So, their expectation level is high when it comes to beard growing. So they feel, the beard is not growing. So what do you have for that kind of a thing?
Yeah, lots of slapping, just, a little slapping throughout the day. No. At least you'll have fun with that. Yeah, there's so many things. I mean, obviously, there's nourishment is part of it. If you're taking vitamin supplements and eating healthy, that helps the hair follicle have a good opportunity for growth. There are topical products, obviously, that gentlemen can use that'll help with hair growth. We have a product called Tonic that's releasing soon, which will be helpful for that. I'm sorry, Elixir. It's called Elixir. We changed the name. So that'll be a nice product for that. Also, just kind of massaging that area, really being mindful of how you care for it. Sometimes you could find that, by not washing your skin enough, not keeping it moisturized, an accumulation of oil and things like that can kind of create clogged pores or things like that could obstruct the follicle from growing. So it's really all about care. And with care, you create this kind of optimal situation for growth. Now, with that being said, some men do just have a hard time, some areas of their face just will not grow hair. And so at that point, you might have to just embrace that that is what it is. But anybody can really hopefully grow a beard. And there does also become a point too, where, if you commit to it and it gets long enough, some of those areas that might seem patchy as the beard kind of grows out and detaches, will kind of be covered by the length of the beard. Similar to a man who's, fine or thinning and they're starting to really comb things over. But it can work for the beard as well. Yeah.
So how about the beard transplant? What's your opinion for that?
Yeah, I don't know much about that actually, Rachit. If you do, I'd be excited to learn. But I don't know much about that actually.
Some people are actually one of my clients. He's not getting the proper shape, so he actually went to the mat and he got his beard transplant. So that was the first time when I actually he came over and he said this has been transplanted, and I was shocked. Even this is also happening. Yeah.
And how did it look? Did it look good?
It was looking nice.
And
because
it was not painful or anything for him.
it was painful. I asked him, it was painful,
Okay.
but he said, for the looks, he's a model, so he wanted, a proper look. So that was something which, interestingly, I get to know about, something new, because unlikely I've never witnessed anyone getting a beard transplant. So this was something new. So that was unique. And one question is another thing. Uh, do you feel, men with bald if they have good beard, right? So do you find them sexy with somebody or one with somebody, who has good hair with the beard? What's your opinion about it?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like I have a neighbor actually, and he's balding, so he shaves his head. Actually, now I think about it, I have three neighbors. So, and they all, maybe they're all taking influence from each other. But good looking gents, but two of them have shaved their heads completely. So, a bald scalp, and have these really strong, nice beards. I think that's a very strong masculine look. It's one that I hope that if I get to the point where, I have challenges with having hair, that if I can go with a bald scalp, that I look good. But I do really like that combination, actually, bald scalp with a strong beard. I think it's very masculine and looks very good. I like that.
Absolutely.
Rachit,
Yeah.
what is your take on, I would love to understand what your customers give a little bit of feedback about the fragrances and products. So 1821 has some specific signature fragrances like mahogany and sweet tobacco, and they sound very interesting. So do you have customer feedback asking you for, unique fragrances and products and things? Do you have that kind of thing happening at the salon?
Yes. Yes. Actually, when the male client, they have if you give them a too fruity kind of thing, so they say it's more like a female-ish thing, right? And when you give them little like a mint and something like cool and like tobaccos and this thing, so it generally comes attached with them. They feel more masculine, more of So yes, definitely the answer is clients do prefer signature fragrances, which is meant for men. So they like something which is more masculine. That's what I would say. Yeah. So obviously the products which has those kind of perfumes, so people get attracted to them because it acts like a deodorizer, or as well as they feel nice about it. They feel more refreshed. And some fragrances are somebody's favorite. So if they like certain fragrance, they will like to attach with that product for a longer time. So yes, it makes a difference.
So would you like to tell us something about the fragrances, Aston, about your products, the signature fragrances? And
I think wood fragrances, like people are more like oak wood or something. People are more focused these days. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I agree with Rachit. For us, scent was really important because I think scent, there's a few things that it does. Scent is something where if you're driving in your car and you drive by freshly cut grass, you might instantly have this memory of being a child and playing in a yard. And so I think scent transports people to nostalgia. It creates an emotional connection. I can't tell you how often we hear a story of somebody who's got their nose on one of our products and was like, this reminds me of my grandpa, and I loved him, and things like that. So it's always very touching to hear how scent can impact someone. But for us, we wanted to really have this experience that we were offering with the scent, almost like a journey. And so, with our scents, they're very complex, they're very rich, and we have four. I'll just talk about maybe the sweet tobacco, since that's our original. But the idea with the sweet tobacco was that, a lot of things at the time were peppermint and tea tree, and there is a strong place and a need for that. But, everybody was kind of copying that, and so we really wanted something experiential. And so the idea with the sweet tobacco is that it's a scent that helps somebody feel charismatic, feel interesting, and has this kind of nostalgic history behind it, this combination of notes, and really evokes like a night out at like a local speakeasy, maybe sipping on a honeybee with, pipe tobacco in the air, and hearing people talking, and rich leather and woods and things like that, and things you would find in a speakeasy. And what's interesting enough is that when people get their nose on that scent, a lot of the times we hear about the compliments. Somebody complimented someone that, I was standing in line and somebody, hey, what are you wearing? Or, that you smell so good. Or we've even heard stories of men who were wearing our scent in a bar and met their spouse because of it. And so, that's very powerful and like the highest honor, that somebody could, create love triggered love from a scent, and so, but yeah, they're very complex and yeah, so we have other, yeah, I agree, Rachit, and so like the spiced vanilla, maybe that's a cozy scent that puts you in the mood of a fireplace and a bearskin rug and a cognac, or the noble oud, which we feel like is like a kingly scent. It has that smoked oud, that liquid gold in it. Feels very enriched and reminds you of maybe a Middle Eastern palace. The marble and the wood and the velvet and the leather, those kind of textures. And then absolute mahogany, it puts you in this place where it's like you're right at the coast of an ocean and the forest. And so, it tries to be experiential and transport people's minds somewhere, right?
Yeah. What about you, Ritu? What do you feel being a female, if somebody comes over and with perfume?
I'm a fragrance person. I choose my products as per the fragrance. And okay. I'm not the kind who will always go for flowery, although I like flowery as well, but I do like mahogany a lot. I like pine a lot. I love those. Oud is, of course, something that's so exotic.
Absolutely. I think oud is one of the most hottest perfume, I would say, this season.
It's the thing now. Everybody's using it. Even in home fragrances, you have oud now so much.
Absolutely.
So before I end, I've got you two gentlemen with me. And I would love to hear about your grooming choices, what you use to groom yourself from head to toe. What do you use for your hair, your facial skin, and what are your wellness choices? How do you keep yourself, fit and for these times, fit and healthy? So just tell us, we can start with Aston.
Okay. I was going to say, Rachit, please go first. But yeah, well, naturally, you might find it not so surprising that I use a lot of 1821 products. The good thing about, when we design these products is that, we do think about, our needs as men and as gentlemen. We do think about that. And so we tend to be designing products that we also love. And so I am legitimately head to toe 1821 every day. There's a couple things that we don't actually make yet, and some things that we're working on. So a lot of the time, if we're working on a product, I might have like a little secret formula of a certain skincare thing that we're working on that you might not see for 2 years, or a deodorant or a fragrance or something that we're kind of always working on. But sometimes, if we don't have the product. So I do also use for my face some skincare products from Murad. I think they make some nice products, but ultimately there's a lot of brands out there that we appreciate and have used. We're not 1821 narcissists by any means. We love our products, but we also really tend to appreciate anybody that's doing something really great, particularly for men, as we're men. So that's close to us. So as far as kind of staying healthy, I would say my wife is the best advocate for that. If left to my own devices, I'd probably make the wrong choices. And so she's very helpful for me to, hey, maybe don't eat so much, or hey, here's a better choice. So I try to eat as healthy as I can. And exercising probably 2 or 3 times a week. Some nice training circuits, to help keep me in decent shape, let's say. I'm 44 this year, so every year I get a little older, it gets a little harder. So, like a little more challenging to keep myself looking how I want to. So, yeah, hopefully that's helpful. I'll pass it to Rachit.
That was a cakewalk. 1821 is all that you said.
Oh yeah, it's like it's all 1821. Yeah, there's nothing else. Yeah.
Okay, Rachit, over to you.
Yeah, Aston said rightly, even my wife plays a major role when it comes to, choosing the products, So we, from when it comes to grooming, you generally ask, your wife as well. It's not only about you, what products you're choosing. Sometimes, you are in a question mood, if whether should I take this or I should not take this. So you obviously ask your wife, she's a better half of you, and, would like to choose a product where both of you are comfortable in choosing them. So definitely. And when it comes to grooming, I am more like an experimental guy. I love playing doing something experimental. I love to try new products and try to figure out what is special about it, why it is different from the others. So when it comes to like gel or maybe a dry wax, when it comes to hair, I like to do straightening when it comes to hair, because I'm trying to keep my hair longer. And when it comes to beard, I try different kinds of beard washes. I try to oil them up, right, for nourishment, because otherwise it starts looking dryness, a little flaky. So these are the things you keep on trying. And when it comes to personal hygiene, you try to use a lot of body washes, perfumes. So I think this is the whole concept. You keep on trying something new. And since we are from the beauty industry, so we love experimenting. We love trying the new things. So that's it.
So true. Actually, Rachit brought up a really great point, and he's probably more evolved than I am, because I didn't realize I've pretty much always bought things for me. And then there was a fragrance. I don't know. This is maybe I love a lot of different types of fragrances. So I'll buy things from Tom Ford or Creed or Rocha or. I really love fragrance. And so, but yeah, I had bought something and had worn it several times. And every time I would wear it, my wife would tell me, I don't really like that fragrance, but I would keep wearing it. And then finally it clicked for me. Wait a minute, I should be wearing things that she's attracted to. And I felt like this was some like evolution moment for my primitive brain. but yeah, that's a good point, Rachit. I hear you on that. It was good.
Rachit, you have to just tell us quickly about your fitness. What do you do for your fitness? You have to stand on the floor for several hours in a day. So
I think when it comes to fitness, since all the day we are doing a lot of fitness in terms of, in a salon, you keep on moving around up and down. Since I have 4 salons all the day running here, and that's the one. But I personally, if you talk to me, I personally hate, going to gyms and all, when it comes to this, because it's more like a claustrophobic. All the day you're sitting in a salon, in a wall. So you love, whenever there is some time, I will try to run away from the salon. I would try to go with my friends, family, something out, in something in open. So that's what I personally feel, this thing.
That makes a lot of sense. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
fantastic talking to you both today.
Same here.
Any more questions either of you have for each other?
No, I just want to wish Rachit the greatest success with his businesses there, and hope that we can continue to kind of see him grow and be prosperous, and maybe we could work together with 1821. I'd love that. And then thank you, Ritu, for the opportunity. We really appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank you, Ritu, for the opportunity. And Aston, we are definitely looking for, some lovely products of yours coming to India, because the market where I live in, is all about beard market, because it's a Punjab market. And Punjab market, people, they keep the beard. So out of 100, I would say 99 people have beards. So you can understand there's 99% chance of your products to be evolved.
Wow. That's a lot of beards. That's fantastic.
Yeah. It's a lot.
Awesome.
And
so once again,
and it's India, full of population.
full of people.
A very large population. Yes, definitely.
So amazing having you both. Thank you for joining in, and I wish you all the best for your businesses to, be up and about. No more COVID for us, hopefully, going forward. And all the best, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you. Thank you, Ritu.